And it could be Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. It could be early Thursday. We're coming to you live. We're bringing it to you live. Um, get this thing on real quick. Get this thing on real quick. Let me see if I can get this thing on live. All right, let's get this thing cracking. What's happening? What's up? What's up? Oh, good to see you. Good to see you. Don't leave. Keep talking. I got to send out these fillers to let everybody know that I'm on. So don't move. Keep talking. Don't go nowhere. I got to send out these. I got to let everybody know that I'm here because you know how it is with YouTube. So they don't always notifications. So I have to do the notifications and hit that poll too. Good to see you on here. Don't move. Don't move. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I'm still doing this thing, so don't move. Don't move. I got a lot to work with. Got a little time. Got a little time. Okay, I am back now. I am back now. I am back. I am back. I am back. So thank you everybody for your patience. I had to send out my the I can't even say what I want to say in English. All right, let's go ahead. All right, why Danny Ainge need to be suspended? Tell me. Tanking? You talking about with Utah? Are you talking about with Utah? He need to be suspended because of Utah? Utah? I thought that what's his butt? I can't never say his name. LM. That's all I just know him as because that dude can shoot. He can straight out shoot um for Utah, but no one wants to trade for him. He can score. But if you're talking about the Utah Jazz tanking, well, they suck. I mean, I mean, they don't play no defense. I mean, they can. I mean, if they play, they should be. Oh God, that dude can halfway play. They should be able to win at least about 25 games, but I don't know. At least about 25 games, but I don't know. If you put Utah together with Sacramento, you should be able to win about 40. I don't know. I ain't really paying Danny Ainge no mind. He Boston got rid of him. Brad Stevens gotten all the love. No one talks about Danny no more. Danny gonna ride off that one ring and that run that he had in Boston for 50 years. That's what he doing. So, you know. So I saw Julius Erving was on NBC today. I saw that. I didn't click on the. I didn't watch it, but do well, if they tell it, so it depends on what version you get. If they talk about it from the brother perspective, you'll get a real raw, uncut version. That's the only version I want. I had that book by Terry Pluto. I bought that book like 20 years ago. And I'm gonna tell you something. If they stick to the fact that they were going against the man, if they stick to it from the black aesthetic, that they didn't want no parts of the NBA's plantation because the NBA was racist and they were scared of having all black teams and they didn't want their ball to be ghettoized and street ball and all that, it would be worth the wait. But if they whitewash it where they talk about Pat Boone being the ABA owner and the other stuff, then and if they downplay Moses Malone and Gervin and the moves they made and the 3-point and the cheerleaders and the colorful costumes and that Bob Costas was there and that all the people who turned into a star event because Will Chamberlain, a lot of the guys got involved. It all depends on how they talk about it. All depends on why they talk about it. Yeah, no, we can do this. Well, that's how it goes. So I don't know where you live, but if you live in a small town, that's kind of I got this running theme about a small town. So you ever live in a small town and they got one KFC if you like that food, or they got one Walmart and they can charge you, they can do stuff that they wouldn't do with competition. That's how it go. It's like the NFL. Well, the NFL did get scared by the USFL in the 80s. So if you come with what I tell people all the time, bring some competition. You know, it's funny how a lot of the YouTube content creators they couldn't beat them, so they joined you. You see what happened with the LPG, the LPGA, the golf. They had to go over there and team up with Saudi Arabia. Can't beat it. See, this just goes to show that if you got a great idea, you never have to sell your soul. What's happening? How you doing? You never have to sell your soul. You never have to sell out. People tell you to scare you. Use your noggin. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, remember it was Tiger was against it. Everybody hated Phil Nicholson. Now guess what? It ain't nothing. It's just like changing your underwear. You know, you don't think about it. But at the time, it was like them draws, them some bad draws. I wouldn't touch them draws. But now everybody's all good with that off that closing that. Everybody taking a pair off that net. How that work? Cause that money talk. So if you got an idea, use it. You use it. You use it. What's happening? How you doing? Well, you didn't miss much with the game. Bad Bunny moved a lot more than Drake Main did. I'll tell you that much. Bad Bunny had way more moves than Drake Main did. I tell you, the game was a dud. Oh, always, 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 because it's all about ratings and drive. Like they were watching Bad Bunny, and Trump can act like he hating, but he wants that Bad Bunny money too. Shoot, they know what's up. You can't stop progression. You know, I might not have been necessarily like all excited about Bad Bunny because I'm gonna be on here for about another hour. I'll be on for another hour. Depends on how we're doing. It depends on how severe they think it is. If they think he's crazy, they'll probably suspend him for 6 games. If they think they can do something with him, they'll get him out for 3. It all depends. All depends. You know, he went wild. I don't know if I'm gonna touch that story or not, because these dating things are crazy. I don't know. I heard about it. I might do a video about it, but sometimes people lose their natural. She must have said something crazy to him. I don't know. But, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't waste my time watching that fight. I think that Isaiah Stewart just doing stupid stuff. They're trying to upheal the Pistons' bad boy image. And that's one thing about Detroit. They've had a bad reputation. This reputation. You don't need to mess up a sure thing. You got yourself a legit squad. You got yourself a legit squad. You don't need to do something stupid. You could go all the way to the finals this year. I do believe in Cade Cunningham. I think Cade is Tyrese Halliburton, but with another gear. But you do something stupid, think they ain't gonna want to put Boston or New York in your position. Stupidity been the devastation of a lot of progression. So the Pistons are always good every what I want to say every 10 years. They suck for about 8, and then by year 10 they get good. And this is another example of that they stunk for about 15, 20, and I would say they were really good. And they know they got hustled last year against the Knicks. So why would you do stupid stuff when you don't have to? You know. And believe me, Adam Silver is a softy. That was David Stern. Isaiah Stewart probably would have been looking at 57 games just on principle alone because he know he kind of a nutcase. I still remember that whole episode with LeBron, which I didn't necessarily find fault with, but you know, you just don't give them reason to come after you. You give them reason to come after you. Believe me, they will. They will. So I want to see the Pistons come out the East. I really do. But you gotta have people who are about controlling their discipline, controlling their ways. You know. Yeah, it'd be some fixed calls going. Yeah, it'd be some bad stuff going. But you know, you gotta use some. You gotta use some common sense. You gotta use your noggin. Unless you want to sit there and pay them all your money. So you know. I know. Because back then it was more about the Atlanta child situation. But I'll tell you something. There was a lot going on though. Yeah. Oh yeah, baseball's always had scandals with something. It's always been money and it's always going on. The whole Hall of Fame crap is it's such a joke. It's such absurdity. They've always had uh the Black Sox scandals, people stealing, all kinds of stuff going. Baseball is like living proof of it. I heard about the one I was a kid though. Yeah, that's not a surprise. They weren't gonna ever find fully conviction for that. Alabama ain't exactly the most progressive place, so yeah, baseball always have had some stuff. Oh, they've always sent a message to that. They're in every line of work that you can imagine, so that's not a surprise. And they're very much alive and well today. They always have randomly picked somebody black. That's not a surprise. They make an example if they need to or want to. I think some people got to understand how this thing works. Do you ever think that when they go beating up on black people, the police, that they actually sit there and read your scanners and who you are? No, it's usually act now and we'll answer questions later. There is a lot of those cases that are part of the legal docket, and there's a reason why people have been reluctant about trusting just saying. So it's not a shock or surprise. And yeah, you can get randomly picked when you're black. So like I tell people all the time, it's double standards. Double the standards. Yep. hmm It happens so often that you lose track of it. And when people got this notion that they think that, oh, that was long ago, that can't happen anymore. Please, this happens right under your nose. Hmm. Yep, it's all true. All right, let's get some conversation going. How do you feel about your Bills versus Super Bowl? You gotta have the right coaching. You gotta coach both sides of the field. I think that what Vrabel did is that the defense, they were opportunists. The Bills never created opportunity. You know, um, the the first game the Bills played. Um, who they beat? Let me think. Let me rewind it. Let me rewind it. See who did they play the first playoff game. Um, oh yeah, Jacksonville, right? Didn't really win that game against Jacksonville. He probably was. Didn't really win that game against Jacksonville. Just Jacksonville just didn't finish. They turn, and so against, if you don't create turnovers, if you don't have something that stands out about you, and playing hero ball. So no, what I saw in that Super Bowl is that Drake Maine ain't part of the big four. That's what I saw. If the Patriots had a legit quarterback, they might be believable. But that just looks bad. Yeah, he probably was one of them white boys. There's a lot of them that look like that though. I don't know when I would say that it started to die down, because if you go by Black Lives Matter and you go by the last decade, that's still the same thing. So what has changed? What's changed? Sasha, the black woman in Chicago, just got justice for being lynched by that cop with that thing by the stove, which was what, 2, 3 years ago. So I no no. Um, only movement I can think of, it just depends on when people act like they got some sense. I can't say that one act did anything. I think more than what Dr. King did. I think it's just that, it comes down to people working together. Well, Jacksonville was legit. They just did stupid stuff in that game. That counts. I mean, it's the first round, you know. Um, if Trevor Lawrence ever starts making turnovers and learns how to put the ball in play, they could be an okay team. There is a first round. I ain't got no problem with the way the rounds are now because usually everybody knows the second round is when the playoffs really start anyway. That's usually when you can tell who the Super Bowl, what the Super Bowl going to come out of the game. Uh, so I ain't got no problem with that. It, thing about white neighborhoods, it depends on what time you were going, what your business was, and with black neighborhood, well, you still got problems. I mean, you still can have someone call the police. There's still Karens out there. They still see somebody black in the wrong neighborhood. They call the police on people all the time. So, as far as white folks going to black neighborhoods, gentrification changed everything. So it's gentrified. So that's a little bit different. But the other way, they still call the cops on black folks. Maybe not as bad as what I call blatant. However, it's still there though. Because if you're in the wrong neighborhood, they say, hey, you're in the wrong neighborhood. I'm just saying, there's still stuff that goes on. I'm going to go back and forth. So, well, because people got phones and cameras now, that's why. And time was they could go upside your head and just go upside you. But if people got the phone, got the merch to capture your butt, you gonna be a little more cautious. But the police still do stuff though. It's better, but it's not above flaws. Okay, take a break. Alright. They still, Clyde Frazier called. Clyde don't miss words, y'all. That's why I love Clyde Frazier. That's why he'll never get a regular gig, and that's what I like about Walker. He right. Everybody know that Cat's a big old Twinkie, big old soft on the rap. That's why Jimmy Butler about wanted to come to blows with him. He big old twink. However, the NBA is geared for him today because if you can shoot a step still 3-pointer and you can knock the shots down and you can, be as finesse as you want to be and you ain't never got to put no wood on nobody, it's perfect for him. But he is, and he's just a big old chunky cat. You know, he sees them. A lot of the teammates feel the same way, but Cat's the next most important cat after Jalen Brunson. If you're gonna run that kind of offense, he's a part of the 1-2 punch. But if you're thinking that he's some other type of player, then you're gonna get your feelings hurt. Um, Old movies, old shows. I don't really. I ain't. I mean, I ain't really. I ain't really seen too much I like. I mean, I'm gonna wait for the Michael Jackson movie. I'm waiting to that. Still want to see Sinners. I got stuff like that. But after a while, most of the stuff gets kind of watered down. That's the only problem. You? I'm kind of agreeing with Anthony Mackie about what he said. Hollywood isn't really raising movie actors no more, and it's all about action heroes, uh, mimes, and it's all about you know, um, AI and all that. That's what they're doing. Cost some money though. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till I catch it. I do like Ryan Coogler. No, and if he gets an opportunity with the right guard play, he could do good in Atlanta. Um, for me, for Porzingis' problem is that you need a second wheel player. Now, I'm gonna tell you about Porzingis. He was considered a first. He was a decent sidekick. He's a scary third. But if you have him too much in one of the one or two spots, you don't get the results. Oh, I watched him. I watched him, and I've been inspired by certain topics that they've talked about. I like how KG calls it Steph Curry's era, and um, it had some things I like. Oh, I think, yeah, yeah. Well, I ain't gonna say a fifth. That's a bit too. You're going a little bit extreme. I'll give him third. I'm gonna give him third because I think that as a third option, he looked good with Tatum and Brown. I just think that the problem is that he got picked as a first, and then he couldn't play with Luca as a second, and that's what hurt him. And he's had injuries too, and he's also had some of that COVID too because it's long term in his system. You ask me my thoughts, and I stay by what I say. He can't take no defensive load off of Draymond because the problem with the Warriors is they can't guard the perimeter. They don't have a Klay Thompson no more, and they give up too much booty in the glass on the sides. And they're not an offensive juggernaut, so they're just a ran out team. So his defense is not going to really offset what their problems are. They need a lot more than that. They need another. They need. They had gotten Giannis with Steph and them two. I say you got a chance to get the second round in the West. But Porzingis is going to show you that he was a never was because he never did develop beyond being a sidekick to the sidekick. I'm not going to be as cold about him as SP is, TSP is, but who you talking about? I gotta say you want a top 3 to 4 who you talking about? Who you talking about me? If you're talking about me, give me a one. If you're talking about somebody else, name me who you're talking about. If you're talking about me, I am floored and I'm beyond honored. If you're talking about me, because I never have that said per se. But tell me what would make you say that though, in your own words, because you're live here. So feel free to tell me why you would say that. I'm gonna come back on air for this one. Okay, well, thank you. What you talking about, Willis? Oh, I'm honored and I'm touched. I really am. I love your content too, because you really have some great clips and the way you put things together. I love how you do the old school NBA. Um, check out TSP's threads. Got some very informative historical parts that will stop you if you can respect that. No, I appreciate you saying that. I would like you to expound on why you would say that because I'm really floored. I thank you. It ain't because I told you that I did about Porzingis. Okay, thank you. Well, appreciate that. Thank you. No, what I said about Porzingis is that he could be a third. Oh, it is important about standards. I tell people all the time there are tiers to this life. One of the things that turns me off is how some people act like no matter what we talking about that there aren't no tears. Are you kidding me? Yeah, we it's like people who are of a certain age, right? And I got to sit there and hear them lie about Chris Brown being on par with Michael Jackson. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Oh, I got to hear people talk about LeBron James on par with Michael Jordan. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Or Beyonce on par, or there. Everybody's entitled to an opinion as long as you can back up the facts and the accuracy. But see, facts and accuracy, because we all are fans, we have our bias, but sometimes you can't even say that with a. Now I've got some stuff that I'll say that some people ain't gonna like about different topics. It depends on who we talking about. You know, I think it's almost criminal to call one player the greatest basketball player, the greatest football player, the greatest baseball player in a certain part. Now, like in baseball, I might go hard for Barry Bonds, but I can understand why someone would go hard for Willie Mays. But if I do, I'm only taking it when black players were allowed. I'm not taking Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb and all them cats. I'm sorry, I just ain't. Basketball, I can be because if you're a dominant player, you belong in the conversation. Sorry. You belong in the conversation. If you dominated, you belong there. Yeah. And when we talk, listen, I'm gonna say this about Jordan, for instance. Uh well, you wanna know about the 49ers. The real karma shot is Colin Kaepernick. They haven't won since they let Cap go. And they've choked away two Super Bowls, NFC Championship game. Something the energy ain't good there. The energy ain't good there. So I like Christian C Mac. I think Purdy's. I think for Apache team, but see, Kyle Shanahan ain't never held accountable. I can't have him in top five because he didn't play against black players. And see, if that's the case, then I got to put Josh Gibson there. I got to put Satchel Paige there. Listen, top 10. Can't say top five. And I can't say that my life. I can't say, and before my lifetime, before I was around, and go Willie Mays. And any way in the world that Willie Mays wasn't going to be up in that argument. Satchel Paige would be too. Because Satchel Paige pitched that he's about 78. Had a fastball that was throwing about 90 at 68. So come on, man. I mean, we're going to be keeping it 100. Barry Bonds is the best I've seen in my lifetime. Ricky Henderson's in there. Roger Clemens is in there. Willie Mays would be in there. Bob Gibson would be in there. So there you go. Well, I think Yankee lore. But even as a Yankee fan, I don't really because I take it personal. I'm sorry, you didn't play against the best competition. I'm sorry. And this thing too. If you're gonna put Babe Ruth top five, then you better have Bill Russell top two or Wilt Chamberlain top two. Okay? Because they don't do that. That is what you see what we call PR marriages. DiMaggio ain't top five. Hank Aaron is better than him. And Pete Rose is better than him. DiMaggio had a 56 game hit streak, but he wasn't what I would put. He was a popular cat, but I wouldn't say that he. I can name most white folks like Mickey Mantle better anyway. If we're gonna be like that, Mickey Mantle gets more love. I'm just saying. There's, you know, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. He played all nine positions. He not all nine, but he played multiple. Charlie Hustle. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Charlie Hustle. Are you kidding? Take that poll. Take that poll, my man. Take that poll and see who wins. Because aside from the 56 game hitting streak in Marilyn Monroe, he ain't seen no Pete Rose. P. Rose, Charlie Hustle was a bad man. Pete was a bad man for a long time. Leadoff hitter. P. Rose is the Larry Bird of baseball, yo. Take that poll and see who wins. Oh, I'm not saying he was a scrub, but let me put it to you like this. Lou Gehrig would catch more love than DiMaggio. I'm just saying. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not. It's just that look. I saw cats like Mike Schmidt. I saw cats like George Brett, and most people that I know who grew up around that time, DiMaggio wasn't considered like that dude. Oh yeah, yeah, he is. I love Joe Morgan. He had that chicken wing thing he would do when he would bat. That guy could hit. And the big red machine was one. That's when baseball had they were like a super team. They were like the equivalent of the Pittsburgh Steelers for baseball. Yeah. Okay, TSP, you let me showcase my stuff. This is where I get to go off. Cause this is where I have when I go live, I get to talk this talk from historical. I never do this on videos because people don't really pay their videos attention like that. But I get to go live on this when we can talk about Joe Morgan, who I remember with the Houston Astros, Colt 45, the Colt 45s. Broadcaster was love Joe Morgan, and sad about that police episode he had where he got profiled. But yeah, he was bad. Now before Barry Bonds, he don't, and he's a product of playing with Bonds. He could hit, but he got to play with Bonds too. No, they don't because they only want to talk about the Dodgers and the Yankees. Now I wouldn't put him a Hall of Famer. He played with Bonds. He had that MVP year. I think he's one of them guys that was very, very good. Really good. Robbie Alomar good? Not quite. Ryan Sandberg good? Not quite. The Lumber Company Pittsburgh Pirates. I ain't heard that in a long time. That takes me back. Good though. Very good. But see, the baseball is so fake with the Hall of Fame. But see, if we're gonna have morals, then I ain't got no problem with Kraft and Belichick not getting in. You just need to do that for your presidency. That's all. I got no problem with it. I got no problem with it. Some people got a problem with it. I ain't got a problem with it. If you're gonna have morals, have morals. If you're gonna jive, jive. That's all I got to say about that. No, media don't want to talk about baseball because they don't want to. They want to. They. The reason why people like me are turned off by Babe Ruth is because they want to downplay Barry Bonds. They want to say that the Ruth was this, and they don't want to get Bonds. Bonds can flat out play. I don't know too many people that can tell you about changeup, sliders, locations better than that man. His mental mechanics is like a thespian. He's like well, don't tell me say Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, but he is like a scientist in the batter's box. I haven't seen it's like a musician who knows where the chord is supposed to go, structure. That's how I look at Bonds. And he's one of one. Now, you know how they talk about LeBron James' IQ and memory? Well, that's him. Because they want him to conform. See, they didn't like the fact that Dungy felt indifferent to him. That's what that's about. So you white folks don't like the fact that a black man is like he ain't gonna give I already know how I feel about Belichick because Don Shula said it, and no one came for Don Shula when Don Shula called him Belichick. Um, Bonds is more than them two because who else do you know with the bases loaded that a manager said give him 4 balls and walk in? Who else do you know? That's another level of dominance. Not to mention he could go on the outfield and throw your butt out. Not to mention he could go and steal you a base if he had to. Knew how to draw walks. Made teammates better. And that's he was like he was a 5 tool player and he was like 3 men in one. So I no. The Bonds thing, Bonds is one of one. And ain't no good and well that. Oh yeah, and don't forget Reggie Jackson was a cousin, and so was Reggie Smith too. Reggie Smith, who had that Ted Lang mustache. You remember Isaac on the Love Boat? Reggie Smith had that Ted Lang mustache when he played for the Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. I think it was all related. Barry Bonds got like that. It's like that Whitney Houston thing. Okay. Whatever you mean by that, because you either be talking about Parliament Funkadelic or you talking about Billie Holiday. So wherever you coming, let's do it. If your godfather, your daddy was bad and your godfather was the GOAT, so, you know. But each in their own. Each in their own. I prefer Pete Rose over Babe Ruth, though. Reggie was like Deion Sanders to what you see. Cats that you see who understood the moment. Understood the moment. Made that moment in, like how you get excited about Freddie Freeman or Kirk Gibson. Reggie did that but tenfold and talked trash with it, but backed it up. He understood hype. He was a precursor to a lot of stuff that came to being later. Because he was merching his own whack candy bar, and I couldn't stand it. But Reggie, Reggie, bless his soul. But yeah, I'm just saying, Reggie was a bad dude, man. And he did it on the biggest stage too, so that's what made him more gangster. Did it in the biggest stage against the rival, the big rival, the money rival. So that's what I'm talking about. You do it like that, people can't forget you. No, so I'll tell you what I've been watching. I was on YouTube watching some old Chipper Jones and Greg Maddox clips, and they were talking about bonds and they were talking about what they did. So I remember that. So, but yeah, Reggie was must see TV. Again, that's a whole different era. Yeah, cause he played football. He was very athletic. Yeah, yeah. Especially with Oakland. Hit that home run in that All-Star game. That ball hit the top of the tower in Detroit. And then that three-peat in Oakland, which no one talks about. Oh yeah, he always was that dude. He was always that dude. He was always that dude. No. I like Hindu, but no, not quite. No. Good player. Good solid player. I could probably do a future video about guys I liked, and I did like Hindu. I liked them like I like Don Baylor. Guys that would beat you in different ways. But there was always like better versions of those cats. Yeah, and there's a lot of those cats. Now, if he was in the NFL or he was in basketball, he'd get in. They have statues of him. That's how it goes, because that's basically what Draymond Green does. But you gotta remember the sport you in. Baseball is really funny, ain't no. Well, they might do it now. They start letting second tier cats in, so they might do it out of spite for people who don't know. Cause I think it just cheapens the haul when you don't have standards. That's all. So that's how I feel. But I liked Hindu. He came up with some big hits though. A different era when a cat would hit a home run and you got excited. Yeah, well, so check this out. Okay. We'll be here for you. So check this out. Jeff, they didn't get to play with a guy like Barry Bonds. And it's a lot of politics. Yep. See, the same person that doesn't get in the Hall of Fame is the same reason that lets someone into the Hall of Fame. You got to understand that twisted logic. That's what they do. That's what they do. It's twisted logic. And it's a lot of politics involved. Don Baylor, my math teacher was his cousin. That's a funny story in Houston. He had a math teacher, and he had a little Jerry curl too. Don Baylor was a trip too, because he used to take all the bean balls. He used to then mind getting hit by pitches. I don't know if he'd be doing that today, because these guys today start off throwing 100 plus. It wasn't a lot of guys throwing as hard back then like they do now. When you just sit there and you take it. So, but anyway, that's what's up with that. Okay. I appreciate the compliment though. Thank you. Early though. What I got right here, what he says. I've been reading a lot of books. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Monarchs. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to have a Negro League t-shirts. Oh, I followed all that, you know. Enjoyed all that. Um, you know, Ted Williams was a great hitter. He was an incredible hitter. And he might be considered top five. I mean, you can say when you start talking about top five, he might be there. It's so subjective to certain things, but you know, I wish they still had that league because I think things would have been done differently. You know, where Cats got it wrong when they folded is that they didn't ask for black managers, coaches, GMs, ownership. That's where they messed up. Had they pursued the business angle, I think you know. Okay, is that all you got to say? You just gonna troll today? Because that's all we got? Because I don't know where you're coming from today. And we've had a pretty cool, peaceful adult situation. So, okay, I think you're gonna be problematic. I'm gonna have to remove you. I think that when you're trolling, we not gonna got time for you. We got some adults on here. We're having adult conversation. So it was a means to say that you could play on the professional level. However, playing on the professional level meant what exactly? What did it mean? Because it didn't mean that you're going to have black managers. You didn't have your first black manager to what, 1975 with Frank Robinson? So how much did you integrate? And you've had two African American managers or three who've won multiple rings, and Cito Gaston, Dusty Baker won one, Dave Roberts. So you've had three equivalents in the last 34 years. How long has the game been around? That doesn't sound like integration to me. Still have no black no black commissioner, black ownership. Of course they did. It's plantation. Of course they did. And they bought them and they sold them into different, you know. And now you have less than a pool of black players playing. Yes. Because it's a good old boy network. That's why. Psh. Meanwhile, Buck Showalter, who gets fired from every job and then someone comes along and replaces him and wins, keeps getting calls. You know, it's a double standard. It's a double standard. Bruce Bochy keeps getting jobs. He won multiple rings. Tony Russo. If you win a ring in baseball, if you win two or so, it's a rarefied company. But that's, like I said, that's the politics involved. I'm sure Cito was probably, you know, yeah. But hey, he knows what he's dealing with. I'm gonna tell you a story, man. When you understand how this stuff go, you ain't even phased. You expect it. You expect it. The only time you get caught in your feelings is because you love somebody, you respect somebody. But 9 times out of 10, you expect it to be just the way it goes down. Why? Because it's usually. Oh, you talking about Kenneth Walker the third? That's who you mean by K9 or beast mode? Is that what you mean? Because like what I just saw in the Super Bowl with Kenneth Walker, if that's what we talking about, um, two different types of backs. For one, two different types of backs. K9 got Barry Sanders juke moves in him. Beast mode was physical, aggressive. Two different styles. But if you're asking me which one would I prefer or pick, I appreciate you though. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you coming through. And I'm glad you came through. I was always and appreciate your words. They really touched home. Appreciate you always. Thank you. If I had to pick out the two, I'm still gonna go a slight edge to beast mode. Cause I saw Kanan do that LeVar Bell thing where he kind of went. He's effective. The only problem when you run, the only problem when you run like that though is eventually catch will catch up to you. Beast mode was something else though, and that's why he carries more weight than Russell does. If you ask anybody on the offensive side who carries more weight, I dare to me him to say that he ain't in the top two when during their run because the defensive cats loved him. He brought the business. So, and I may be sentimental about it. I do like K9. I mean, K9 is I like his movements. He definitely was watching stuff that New England did, but I think Marshawn just wore your butt out a little bit more. So that's how I feel about it. All right, so let's see how long we got on here. Let me take this situation 50-50 about Bad Bunny. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. How you figure they're a mess? They're not a mess unless you thought you had some expectations. LeBron is 40+ years old. What do you expect? But that's not the problem. The problem is actually Luca and JJ ridiculous. The coach don't know what he's doing. He's in over his head. He doesn't have a 4 through 12 on his roster. So without a 4 through 12, you get no hustle points. You get no easy baskets. You can't really give cats a rest or a breather. You're constantly switching your lineups and your rotations. And when you get your butt waxed as many times they have this year, so out of the 21 losses, like but 18 of them are like 10 points or more. That's embarrassing. You suck. And you lost to two top tier teams this week at home. So you're not, we know you're not good. Now, you lose LeBron and all that, but what are you going to pick up? And what you gonna do with Austin Reeves and when you got defensive liabilities, and what you gonna do about the eight? There's the thing is that it's almost sacrilegious to say they're a mess when they're 10 games over 500. I don't know about 100, but I'll tell you this much: if he gets to feast on whack teams like that, he'll be definitely flirting with 50, 60 without trying. I'll say that. They don't well if you're gonna come with half-hearted play and you can't check the box on the perimeter, yeah, you could go crazy. But see, there are people who are in denial. But I don't really find fault with LeBron the needle we got. JJ Ridiculous got to figure out who's gonna move the needle, and he's got to make a move. So I think they're waiting to see what happens after LeBron is gone. And they got this delusion that they're gonna get all these pieces that's gonna miraculously come there. The problem that the Lakers have is the same problem that a lot of the league has. The second and third tier guys in today's basketball, you can't really tell because everybody shoots threes, everybody does the same thing. So unless you can differentiate, you're kind of stuck with basically the same bag as everybody. So that's all. So, mm, all right. But if you're a Laker fan, I know you didn't have no delusion that you were going to do something this year because you're not. But you have no defensive. You have no defense on your team. You're liable. You're a liability. No, because he too old. Fit in and do what? Who's gonna play defense? You see, Donovan ain't no. LeBron is a third wheel at this stage. Okay, Donovan doesn't know how to lead, and James Harden has never known how to lead. So who's gonna be your leader? And they don't play no defense. So what they gonna do? So I no, it's nothing there. It's nothing there. If he was about, oh yeah, if LeBron's about 5, 10 years younger, this would be a steal of a move. But not when you're pushing 42. No, that's just ridiculous. Before we win, this is just ridiculous. So anyway, Donovan Mitchell ain't that dude. And I'm with Shaq. Unless he showed me something, I ain't seen it. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. It's nice. It's nice, but they're not winning nothing. It's nice though. They'll stat pad. They'll be fun to watch until James Harden has one too many cheeseburgers and he messing with a bad baby mama. Then he go crazy, and Donovan Mitchell get hurt or he get his feelings hurt. Mm-mm. Yeah, mm. All right. I don't see much with that though. I think it's a nice made for TV movie, but I want to go home. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Okay, let's see if we get anybody come through. Let's see if we got any more conversation before I get ready to go. I want to see if anybody's got anything they want to talk about. When you back on again, I'm thinking probably on Saturday. Briefly for an hour for Valentine's Day. I think I come on for like an hour. And then I'll be on Sunday. So I'll do a weekend. I should do a back-to-back weekend. So I think those two will definitely be on. I'm always glad when people come through. We have some good conversations, so I'm always cool with it. I'm glad to see that this vote thing, 60% said no. Well, that's cool. No, it's next weekend. Wait a minute, it is this weekend because yeah, Dallas plays yeah, it is this weekend. You're right. I forgot all about that crap. I don't pay it no mind. I'm the wrong person to ask because I don't care about it. I just think they should just forego the crap anyway. All-Star Weekend looks just like a regular season game anyway. 3-point contest, same stuff. So it's like, whatever. So that's how I look at it. Okay, I'm gonna go in about 3 minutes. All-Star with no stars. Well, depends on who you at. Well, yeah, with the injuries. The hype is bigger than the actual game, you know. But I just think that because you see it every night, and that should tell people that they're not excited about the product that's out there, because it's really no different, you know. That's what they're pushing the agenda. So yeah, if you don't want it, don't waste your time with it. That's how it goes. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad, to say the least. Okay, so I'll be on for one more minute. Oh yeah, that'll be interesting. Well, Bronny won't get to play in it, so I couldn't resist that. How that rookie season turn out. Yeah. Cooper can't let that go. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're coming into the home stretch, so all right. Give it a check on out. And it was good to everybody that came through. Appreciate the comments and the thoughts. Great to see some comments and everybody that came through. And again, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on threads, I'm on different places. So if you ever find me, link me up, holla. We could definitely talk about whatever. So till next time, peace. The best. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke. I'm my one time. Peace.